Second Sunday of Lent reflection. Last Sunday, he entered the wilderness to be tested by the evil one. And now he's been rewarded in a way. In the wilderness, Satan came and told him, tempted by saying, "If you are the Son of Man." And today the voice from heaven speaking, "Behold, this is my Son. I am well pleased of him." My dear friends, every trial, after the trial, there is a trophy. Transfiguration is a prior manifestation of the glory which is going to happen after the crucifixion. You have to remember, pain without purpose is useless. Death, suffering, death and resurrection. There is no resurrection without the suffering and death. But then we suffer and die in view of the glory of God. And transfiguration is a place where God showed the disciples that this is the trophy, this is the reward they are going to experience after the suffering. Of course, Matthew is writing to a community where there persecution happened. So in that persecution, he wanted to encourage the people that there is purpose in your pain. And now he takes John, James and Peter, because it's important that they experience this. They're the most inner circle of Jesus. They were there with him when he raised Salome, daughter of that father. And Jairus' daughter. And they were there in Gethsemane. And now they are in Tabor. Because Peter is the leader. He's going to give the key of heaven, kingdom. And he's going to be the rock. So he should experience this. And then James, in Acts chapter 12, he's the one who is persecuted, first persecuted disciple. And John is the last to die among disciples. So he wanted to show them all the Shekinah, the glory of God, my dear friends. And we find in the first reading how Abraham was blessed. And the Lord is asking him, in those days, the Lord said to Abraham, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. So he's inviting Abraham to leave what he has for the promise that he's going to have. It's important. That's what we call faith. Faith is that certification of what we hope. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1. So what we hope cannot be seen. Romans chapter 8 verse 24. We don't have to hope for what we have seen already. So if you are hoping for something that we have not seen, then we have to wait in expectation. That's exactly what Abraham was said. You hope. I will show you. At least he has not shown the place. I will show the land you are going to inherit. To leave your country, which is of course very dear and near to Abraham, and kindred in those clan, tribal mentality, the kith and kin are the people who protected them. So it's important that you remain in the flock, that pack. So leaving is taking a high risk. But then for the Lord, word of the Lord, you have to take that risk, trusting the Lord completely. I'm not looked after by my kith and kin, rather my Jesus, my Lord is going to take care of me. And then Father's house, which is very close to a Jew, because father, when prodigal son left the father's house, everything happened. Now he has asked to leave his own father's house because Abba Father is going to look after him. It's amazing how it is connected to Jesus' life. Jesus is showing them the glory which is waiting now. So what you cannot see, you have to leave. To achieve what you cannot see, you have to leave what you see, what you have, what you perceive. So that's a step of trust. So the gospel we read, at that time Jesus took him, Peter, James and John, brothers, and led them up to high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like a sun, and his clothes became white as light. Now Matthew always connects the gospel to Exodus. It's going to be a new Exodus with not Moses, but Jesus. So he connects it. For example, killing all the infants. Even in Pharaoh's time, they killed all the infants, isn't it? And then crossing of the Red Sea and Jordan, and Jesus was baptized there. So it's connected all the time. So now he's saying, now it's Moses climbing the mountain, Mount Sinai, and Lord spoke to him and gave him 10 commandments, the covenant. And now Jesus is on the mountain, not Moses. Now it is Jesus. Now with the voice of the Lord straightly speaking to the people, behold, this is my son. I'm well pleased of him. Listen to him. My dear friends, now on the mountain, now this is connected. How they were, and this we find Moses and Elijah. Moses is the leader of Torah, law, and Elijah was the leader of all the main prophet of all the prophets, prophecy and law. This is the whole of the whole Old Testament. You read Matthew, again he says, I have not come to abolish law, but rather complete it, fulfill it. This is how they are going to fulfill it. How? And in Luke chapter 9, if you read Transfiguration incident, it's spoken, it is clearly said that they were speaking, Moses and Elijah with Jesus, they were speaking about the suffering death which is going to happen in Jerusalem. So topic is suffering, pain, the power of pain. It's a heavenly topic, isn't it? So that's how he's going to fulfill prophecy and law by responding to the Lord, by giving his life completely as a ransom, by fulfilling the will of the Father. And now they were discussing it. My dear friends, while they were discussing it, Peter speaks again, always jump the gun, a kind of a character. And he says, it's better to stay here, Lord. Now remember, transfiguration is a prior experience, prior vision of what's going to happen. You cannot bypass cross, suffering, to experience the Shekinah and the glory. So we all would like to bypass suffering and enjoy the glory. It's not practical. But when Peter wants to stay there, and he says we'll have 3 tents. Of course, if you know there are 3 feasts, main feasts in Jerusalem. Feast of Pentecost, Feast of Passover, and the Feast of Tents. So tents mean, the very same word is used here, that we will have 3 tents. So we can stay here. But then we find the cloud covering them, which is a symbol for the mysticism. It's a mystery cloud. And we find how they were directed with a cloud in the noontime on the way to promised land. And cloud is Shekinah. We find the cloud coming down to the temple of God, the tabernacle. So it's important, this now the presence of the Lord, in the presence or the awe, the glory, the respect. Now they lie prostrate, fall prostrate. That's exactly what will happen in Joasham, the presence of God. We will all fall because we cannot bear that glory, that Shekinah. And then finally, the voice spoken that behold, he is my son, you listen to him. Behold, he is my beloved, which means suffering servant, is going to suffer for me. In expectation of the glory. Even in the second reading, St. Paul encourages Timothy to go through the suffering because there is glory waiting. That's the encouragement. Now at last, at the end, only Jesus remains with them. He's asking them to come down and climb the proper mountain, Calvary. In the Tabor, his face was glittering. In Calvary, his face was bloody and the whole body was wounded, bruised. That's a contradiction. And in Tabor, he was with Moses and Elijah. In Calvary, he's with 2 rogues. And that kind of suffering, There's in suffering, you have to wait for the glory. You cannot bypass it. You have to go through. But then it's important in prayer. You experience this power, experience the glory of God, so that you will bear the suffering with lot of joy. So enjoy your transfiguration in view of your Calvary. Amen. May God bless you.